Thank you so much for being with us tonight on the SDG-Hub. This, of course, is the SDG-Hub, where we discuss opportunities and solutions for everyday business to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, as we call them for short. Well, as you probably know by now, the SDGs are 17 goals with targets and indicators for sustainable development agreed upon by UN member states, including Ghana, to make the world a more just, equitable, greener, and peaceful place by the year 2030. On the SDG-Hub, we introduce you to business opportunities and activities that help us to achieve the SDG goals here in Ghana and beyond. My name is Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe with
Rosemary Balami.
She is from the Young Reporters for the Environment, YRE, at the Center for Sustainable and Transformation. Well, the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, are a blueprint for global progress, aiming to address the most pressing challenges facing humanity and our planet. They might seem complex, though, but breaking them down provides a helpful roadmap if we actually set out to implement them. Achieving the SDGs require collective action and widespread awareness to mobilize in governments, organizations, and individuals. In this context, the media plays a crucial role in raising awareness, influencing public opinion, and promoting action towards the SDGs. In tonight's episode, we will explore the significant role of the media in advancing the SDGs and its potential impact on global sustainable development.
That's right. Just as you mentioned, Emmanuel, the media's role in promoting the Sustainable Development Goals is crucial in creating awareness, driving action, and holding stakeholders accountable. By informing the public, fostering dialogue, shaping attitudes, and facilitating collaboration, the media can help build a global movement towards sustainable development.
Well, so our guests tonight, who are all media people, will help us to drive this discussion, and they'll be joining us via Zoom. Michael Creg Afful is the editor at Energy News Africa, and Francis Boafo Asamoah, social media manager at Young Reporters for the Environment. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
Good evening.
Good to see you all.
Thank you for having us.
My members of the Inky fraternity. All right, so before we go on, can you quickly tell us about what you do in short? Let me start with you, Michael.
Thank you so much, my brother Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe. Yes, my name is Michael Creg Afful. I'm the editor for Energy News Africa.com. I established this website in 2008 to promote Ghana's energy sector, Africa, and global energy sector.
All right. So you do promotion of the energy sector, of course. That's very, very crucial because you break the issues down, whatever is happening in Ghana's sector and as well as Africa and beyond. Kudos for that. Let me come to you, Francis. What do you do?
Hello. Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. My name is Francis Boafo Asamoah, as rightly said. I am the social media manager for Young Reporters for the Environment. I like to identify as an ecologist and an environmental activist. Mostly, I am an SDG 15 researcher. Yeah.
Okay, ecologist. What do you do as an ecologist?
Yes, so mostly I do species and habitat ecology, conservation biology, and a little bit of protected area management.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's move straight into action. I'm starting with you, Michael. Holding governments and institutions accountable is crucial for achieving the SDGs, with Target 16.6 aimed at developing effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. So in what ways can the media hold governments and institutions accountable for their actions where the SDGs are concerned? Michael. Hello, Michael. Michael? Also, it looks like we lost Michael out there. Let me come to you, Francis. You are the social media manager with the IRE, where you use social media quite a lot. How does that differ from traditional media when it comes to reach and ways of promoting sustainability?
Okay, thank you very much. So when we look at social media, one of the key things that comes up in mind is the reach and the number of people that are interacting with the posts that you make. So I'll make a typical example. The climate strike is one of the very biggest environmental movement that started on social media. Now, if you look at how it started with one person, and it got to about 200 people, and now it is the biggest environmental movement on the planet. It is putting pressure on government to help tackle issues of climate change. You know that the reach and what social media is able to do is something we haven't even explored to the minimum. Because if you look at the rate at which social media and climate change has gained popularity through traditional media, through this climate strike that started on social media, you realize that there is power in the use of social media, and it is something that we have to explore to the maximum to be able to tackle some of these pressing environmental issues.
And I trust you so much. There is indeed power in the use of social media, especially for contemporary youth, because all what they know is social media. I mean, their phones and what have you, all the handles. So I believe that's a step in the right direction. Let me go back to you, Michael. Can I hear you now? Are you there? Hello, Michael.
Yes.
Are you there? All right. So I wanted to find out from you, holding governments and institutions accountable is crucial for achieving the SDGs. In what ways can the media hold governments and institutions accountable for their actions where SDGs are concerned?
Thank you so much. As you are all aware, we know the media is the fourth estate of the realm, and our key function is to disseminate information, bring issues that affect the masses into the public domain, make sure that government, whatever institution that is accountable, for instance, if it's about social, if it's about education, if it's about energy, if it's about sanitation, we make sure that the issues are brought into the public domain and policymakers who are responsible take action. For instance, if in a situation whereby these issues are there and the media is quiet, there is no way that the institutions that are responsible can work. So we playing the watchdog role is to make sure that we bring issues out. And when we bring the issues out, our duty is to make sure that we continue to pursue the issues until actions are taken to address those issues that we brought out. And I believe that once we do that, once we continue to put pressure, let me put it in that way, put pressure on policymakers or institutions that are responsible to address the SDG goals, I mean, we'll be doing ourselves good by achieving all the 17 goals under sustainable development.
Okay, well said, Michael.
Yes, he made mention of something that the media as a watchdog. So I want to do something a little different and ask my co-host Emmanuel a question. So, you know, you're a radio personality who works on the promotion of the SDGs. How well does radio serve as a tool to promote sustainable development as opposed to the other forms of media?
Well, so Rosemary, I hope you're not putting me on the spot.
Not at all.
Yes, I mean, radio as compared to the other forms of media or traditional media is quite flexible. Okay. I mean, it can be reachable anywhere else. So it gives us, you know, that kind of flexibility when you're dealing with the audiences. Because you know that you talk to a variety of people, and there are many people out there who may not have television sets and other traditional forms of media. But in contemporary times, you even have your phones which have radio, installed on it, the apps and things like that. So it gives you that opportunity to reach out to many people when you are trying to break down the issues of climate change and SDGs in general. So it is very, very flexible. Now, the radio is also very cheaper form, or is a cheaper form of devices to be used to listen. because you can, like I said, you can easily acquire a portable radio for yourself, if not even on the phone. You have a portable radio for yourself that you listen to. You take it everywhere that you find yourself and listen to information. Now you realize that these issues of SDGs sometimes are quite technical. You need to break them down. One advantage of radio is that you can do that through various mediums. I mean, like what you call the languages and things like that, to reach out to the people who are even down the ladder, so that they get exactly what you mean or you want to send across.
So would you say radio has a wider audience?
It has a wider audience. Okay. I mean, it's not everybody or every community or every household, that has television sets, even though it has become common these days. But people have access to radios, through the video, like I said.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So.
Thank you, Emmanuel. On this show, we often discuss how the Sustainable Development Goals cut across many areas of our lives, from environment to education to healthcare to food security to technological development to economy and peace and justice. These are all topics that most media organizations already cover. Now, Michael, let me come to you. For media organizations that do not focus on sustainability, how can they incorporate it into their reporting? Michael.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You said how can they incorporate sustainability
into their reporting? Yes.
Yes, I believe that one of the things that we as media or as media organization we need to do is to make sure that we look at the strength of our reporters.
Okay.
For instance, if the organization realize that you are good when it comes to maybe reporting on issues about the good health and well-being, that is the Sustainable Development Goal 3.
Yes.
Or when they realize that you are good in reporting, or your understanding of education, you have an understanding in the educational sector, they have to make sure that you are assigned to education sector only. If you are good about the reporting on the energy sector, the organization should make sure that your focus is just on energy. Okay. Once that is there, I believe that there could be sustainability. But in a situation whereby media reporters are assigned to go and cover sometimes maybe funeral ceremonies, political campaign platforms, you are there covering them. It doesn't really ensure that sustainability. But if, for instance, we create desks, health desk, energy desk, education desk, then even if we have about 2 or 3 reporters around that desk or taking care of that desk, if one person, for instance, leaves that organization, then you have two people who are there, but possibly you can also recruit another person to join. Okay. For instance, if one person leaves. But if until that is done, then you will see the situation whereby reporters are moving from different sectors of the economy, and that doesn't help. Okay. So what I would propose that, like Asaase Radio, for instance, have this Energy 101, Aboagye and some of the police are dedicated to that sector. It is good. Other media houses should emulate that. If, for instance, you are reporting on business, there's a business desk, there's a health desk, there's an education desk, that will definitely ensure sustainability.
Absolutely.
Well said, Michael. Now, let me come to Francis. Can you provide some examples of successful media initiatives that have influenced public opinion and shaped attitudes towards sustainable development goals?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think in my first submission, I mentioned the climate strike. That is probably one of the most popular social media activism that has actually gained popularity and have led to actions that are now underway to help combat the effect of climate change. Now, one of the very interesting ones that started, I think, and that was even when social media wasn't very popular and a lot of people were not on. There was this campaign by Conservation International that was called Nature Cannot Wait. The idea was to tell everybody that nature doesn't need people, and it is people that need nature. Now, you realize that everything can go on without people. and it is true for every other thing except man. Man depends on everything. So that campaign actually, in sense, restored a large area in Cambodia and gave some local inhabitants livelihood and other things. Now, some of these campaigns, what they do is not even mostly directly going to benefit the environment or whatever, but it is coming back to benefit the people who are then actually even causing damage to the environment mostly. Right. So there are a lot of them. There's been change the narrative shift. There was one on justice, which led to bringing in of new laws against people, disabled people, and now we have new laws that are being effected to that effect. So there are lots of them, and they are across board. Lots of them.
Right.
We don't see most of these things locally in Ghana, unfortunately. We don't actually have one that has stood out on the environmental side, on education, but people individually are actually working in different sectors. And this is where I always say everybody has, there are scattered efforts all over, and it is something that the media can also help in bringing to light so that we know that, oh, this is what this organization is doing. I know one organization that is doing something on education as young at heart. They are providing education for less privileged schools in ICT. I know Echo Schools is doing very good job in Akosomo, and these are all scattered efforts. So if the media is bringing all these together, and when you look at SDG-1, an indicator for SDG 16.1, one of the key things that it mentions is public access to information and fundamental freedoms, which cannot be achieved independently. And without public access to information, we cannot actually achieve all the targets that have been set for the various sustainable development goals. So for media, it is something we can't do away with. It's literally the backbone for the SDGs.
Okay, let me come to you, Michael. Now, you know very well that you and I normally go through some obstacles in the course of our work. Can you share with us some of the challenges that you face in effectively promoting SDGs and how they can overcome, or they can be overcome?
Thank you so much. It's part of the work that we do. That sometimes there is an issue and you want to pursue, you do your best by making calls to institutions that are responsible, hoping that you are going to get answers. Unfortunately, sometimes you will try and nobody wants to open up. If you don't have the heart and you don't have the courage for what you are doing, there's possibility of you getting discouraged or discouraging yourself, and in the end, nobody benefits from whatever effort you wanted to make. And so going forward, I believe that now that the right to information bill is being implemented, what I would say is that no matter the obstacle, no matter the challenge, we should continue to pursue. If you are working in the energy sector, if you are working in the health sector, if you are a reporter covering social issues, if you are a reporter covering issues, borders on gender equality, there is always going to be a challenge. But how do you overcome? You have to build network. So if, for instance, you make a contact to one person, a person in an institution that he or she is not willing to open up, there could be another person who will be ready to share information with you. And I believe that when we do that, we'll continue to remain relevant, and whatever goal we have set out in the SDG, we'll be able to achieve them.
All right. Thank you. So now let me come to you, Francis. You know, some of the taglines of the global goals is leaving no one behind. Now, how do the various media outlets ensure that they have a balanced representation and diverse perspectives in their coverage of the SDGs, and that their reach extends especially to those in rural areas and those with lower levels of education? Francis.
Yes. I would pick a line from what Emmanuel said early on when he was explaining, talking about the importance of radio on the part of promoting these SDGs. Now, one of the very important things we talk about, and he mentioned, is language. So getting information to people is easy, but getting information to the right people is what we need to do. Now, if I'm speaking to you and you don't understand, if I'm talking to you about SDG 15 and I start using terms that make sense to me alone, I am basically not communicating. I'm not saying anything. Now, Imam mentioned that it is easy to speak to a diverse group with a specific language which they understand. This is how we are trying to get to everybody. We are not leaving everybody behind. So we are using social media for the youth, for the people who can best use social media. Now we are using radio for the people who cannot understand the technicalities in disseminating these SDG information. When you look at the SDG report, it's just full of technical stuff. Now the radio is doing a good job at giving the information to the people in the manner in which they understand and they can better appreciate what is going on.
I really wish we can do this another time because we almost out of time. But in 30 seconds, each of you, I want to know what impact media coverage on SDGs have on policy decisions and implementation. Let me start with you, Michael.
Thank you so much. Like I said, once I cover the energy, basically report on energy, I want to use the energy issues or energy as a case study for my concluding remark. You know, for instance, if there are issues and you don't report on them, how do those issues get addressed? But the moment you consistently report on that issue, I believe that gets attention, even though the addressing the taking action might not be 100% as you want, but at least once the issues are brought to the fore, actions of it will get the attention of policymakers or implementers of policy, and they will take steps to address those issues. So it's a very important step that we have to all take once we are covering issues about SDGs.
All right. Now, Francis, you have also 30 seconds.
Yes. So what I would say is that the media builds people's capacity. Media give people access to information, and when the people know what is happening, they are incited to take action. So media directly affect policy because of how they give out information to people and how people react to this kind of information. Typical example we have in Ghana is the Galamsey issue. The media brought it up and it was all over and everybody was talking about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your expertise and insights on this conversation. Make sure to tune in same time next week as we continue discussions on all things sustainable development right here on Asaase Radio 99.5 so that people and planet can prosper. If you have any topics you would like to discuss, send an email to info@cest.org or send a message to our social media platforms at YRE Ghana.
And thank you once again for staying with us on the SDG-Hub. We've been speaking with Michael Creg Afful, Energy News Africa, and Francis Boafo Asamoah from Young Reporters for the Environment. I've been your host, Emmanuel Aboagye-Wiafe, together with
Rosemary Balami.
Thank you for your time, and let's go back to PGs.